Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and it's Debsy, and the place to be, it's Debsy. Bloop, bloop, that's me. Boop, Debsy. Hey guys, and happy Saturday. I hope everybody is having a great day and a great start to the weekend. You have not seen me for the last 2 days because I have to tell you, I have not been feeling for the last couple days. I just have not been feeling that great, both mentally or physically. The last couple days at night, I've been so like tired, and I mean dead tired. So I don't know. I was like, I'm not going to make videos on each of those nights. Cause my mom was like, aren't you making a video? I was like, I'm really not. I just don't feel great. And on Thursday, I felt like I was in a little bit of a funk, and I really couldn't find it within me to be like, to film something where I'm like, hey everybody, motivational. I wasn't motivational to anybody. I didn't want to come off seeming fake. I thought it would be fake for me to be like feeling not so great and not in a great headspace and be like, you can do it. I really didn't think I could do it. I mean, I know you guys could do it, but I just didn't want to, be like all positive and happy when I really wasn't. So that's why I took the last couple days off. So I am here now. I'm feeling much better. So thank you everybody for being patient with me. Okay. So I wanted to talk about something. I have been invested in this for, what's it been? 10 or 11 weeks. I'm talking about the Karen Read trial. I knew nothing about this trial before Emily D. Baker, who I absolutely adore, had mentioned it. Emily D. Baker said she was going to be covering it. So listen, any trial that Emily D. Baker covers, I am in. She could cover a trial where it was somebody farted in somebody's face in public and now they're suing, and I would literally be like, I'm here. So let me tell you, if you don't know what the Karen Read trial is, here it is. It's the Commonwealth of Massachusetts versus Karen Read. Karen Read was dating Boston police officer John O'Keefe, and she is charged. I don't know I'm not 100% on what the actual charges are, but what she's accused of is she's accused of hitting her Boston boyfriend, her Boston police officer boyfriend, John O'Keefe. She's accused of hitting him with her car while she's drunk and leaving him to die in the cold. So that the state is saying that she intentionally hit him, backed up and hit him with her car, and knowingly left him there. That is what the Commonwealth is saying. The defense is countering with allegations of a frame job, that she was framed because she is an outsider. They are saying that he had gone into this house that he was dropped outside of, and there was an altercation, and then the people inside the house had brought him out, and that's where that's what caused his death. So that's the heart of it. That's what she's charged with. And the state is saying that it was intentional. And the thing is, supposedly she had dropped him off after a night of partying. Listen, if I learned one thing about Massachusetts, I learned that at least in this town of Canton, everybody drinks, everybody drives. It's civilians, it is police officers, it's everybody. Everybody just goes, to the Waterfall Bar and Grill or CF McCarthy's and drinks, and then drives all over the place, everywhere. So it said that she had driven John O'Keefe over to 34 Fairview Road, where Brian Albert lives. She had driven him there and dropped him off, and that was after 12. And then it said that she went back home to John's house, and she was drunk, so she fell asleep, and then she woke up. He wasn't there. The state had admitted into evidence voicemails, like I believe she had called 53 times asking like, where are you at? Some of them were, where you at? Some of them were like, I hate you and blah, 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 and this and that. And she thought he was cheating on her, which I doubt. And so then after 6 o'clock, well, she then calls two people. She calls Jennifer McCabe, and she calls Carrie Roberts. I think that's her name. And they drive around and they try and find where he's at. They come upon 34 Fairview and they find him. So, and this is around like 6:30 or something like that. So that's the whole timeline. After seeing every day of this case, I've watched every day, I've seen every witness, and I've come to the conclusion, I don't know how the state brought this to the grand jury, and the grand jury was like, I think there's enough evidence to go through with this. I don't think there's enough evidence to go through with this. Like, the reason why I don't know if the reason why I don't think there's enough evidence, the things that they're saying are reasons that show that she did it was, Jennifer McCabe is saying that she says that Karen Reed had said, I hit him 3 times. Whereas other people are saying that she said, did I hit him? Could I have hit him? Also, Jennifer McCabe had said that she was at 34 Fairview for an after party. And she had said that she saw Karen outside the house with John O'Keefe. And she kept texting him, are you coming in? What's going on? My thinking is, if that was me and my friend was outside and I kept texting him, I would probably go out and be like, hey, what's going on? You know what I mean? That's me. That struck me as odd. And the tailpipe, like the tail light, like there were pieces of tail light that weren't found when the Canton police officers had come in with a leaf blower. With a leaf blower. Yep, with a leaf blower. They came in with a leaf blower. They blew the snow away. They didn't find any of this. But then Officer Proctor and Officer Buchanan go out later, days later, and find huge pieces of taillight. And speaking of that taillight, nobody else had there was no taillight there until they went out and found it. So here's the thing. And I'm going to say this right out of the gate. I'm not a person that, I know there's people who were like, very, very invested in this. I'm invested in it just because I watched it from start to finish, and it's kind of like, like a drama, like a Netflix documentary, like on a crime, on true crime, where you're invested on what's going to happen. But I know that there's people that are like boots on the ground in Canton, protesting a lot for the free Karen Read, some for the, anti-Karen Read. I think what's getting lost in all of this is the victim himself. I think if anybody should be upset about anything, honestly, not to say that you shouldn't be upset if you're a Karen Read supporter, but the way that this police department had handled the investigation of this poor man's death is disgusting and saddening and heartbreaking. If you don't know, I mean, Officer John O'Keefe seemed like just a great man. I've never met him, but from everything that I had read and heard and seen on social media, he seemed like a very decent stand-up man. His sister had died from cancer. His sister and his brother-in-law had 2 kids, a boy and a girl. The mother had passed away from cancer. 2 months later, the father had passed away, I believe maybe from a heart attack. So these children lost 2 parents within a matter of 2 months, within a matter of like 2-3 months. So their uncle, John O'Keefe, had stepped in and had become the guardian, and now he's gone. So my heart breaks for the children, for his nephews, but the fact that it doesn't seem like anybody took this seriously, and this was like an afterthought, is disgusting. Because honestly, when I said people were out there with leaf blowers, people are collecting blood samples in red Solo cups and putting it in not an official, sealed evidence bag, but a shop and stop bag or something like that. I mean, if somebody who is a police officer can't get a proper, respectful investigation into their death, I mean, what would they do for somebody who's not a police officer? I thought it was terrible. And during this whole trial, the person I felt the absolute worst for was his mother, because his mother had to sit there through all of this and endure seeing these pictures and hearing over and over and over again how her son had died. It's just, so I want to get that out there. And I'm going to tell you what I think about this whole trial, but I had to get that out there. I thought that there was very little, next to no compassion that was shown for this victim. There were a couple of friends who had shown some compassion. Jennifer McCabe gets up there with her tears. I don't buy it from her. I don't buy it from her at all. There were a couple that were, but the lack of compassion for this victim is mind-blowing, is staggering, and it's just sad. That's what I'm going to say. If it were me and I were voting in this after hearing everything, I would probably lean towards not guilty. Now, the reason why I'm going to say that is because I do not think that the evidence that the state presented is beyond a reason of a doubt, like beyond reasonable doubt. If I heard all of that, I would have more than just a little doubt. I would have a lot of doubt. They didn't, when they came in, they focused more on small things like who did you sit next to at the Canton basketball game? High top, like talking about the high top situation at the Waterfall Bar and Grill. And they didn't focus on a lot of things that they should have been focusing on. And early on, they didn't call like the medical examiner. They didn't call the lead investigator, which Michael Proctor, I completely understand why they didn't, because I wouldn't believe that piece of garbage human. Why I say I wouldn't believe that piece of garbage human is because when you hear the things that he said in those text messages to his buddies from high school and he still has a job. If you don't know, what he said was, and he talked about the defendant, and he said things like he called her a see you next Tuesday. He called her the R word. I won't repeat that word because it's one of the most reprehensible words that's out there. He talked about her. He said she's hot, but she doesn't have an ass. And then he said that she leaks poo or something like that. Karen Read, she has MS, but she also, I believe, she had colostomy, or I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but from what I understand, she may have Crohn's. So she had, I believe it was in 18 months, she had like 10 surgeries on that. I know people who have bags, and that's disgusting. To go out there and to debase somebody like that. But then when he was talking with his sister on text, he had said that she should just unalive herself. And the sister agreed she should, to save, this poor family from all of this. And he's still on the case. I mean, he still has a job, and he's actually still listed as the lead investigator. And he took her phone and went through, and I don't know if he went through specifically looking for nudes, but he's just sitting in his office late at night, looking through her phone. And he texted something like, nothing yet, and I didn't even find nudes. Great. That's wonderful. I told my mom, I said, listen, don't you dare ever go up to Massachusetts, because if you get killed, they're going to fuck up that investigation. Then I'm going to have to try and find the way to hire Alan Jackson and Camille Vasquez, because those are my two go-to lawyers, and try and pry Emily D. Baker out of retirement to help me out, because they're going to fuck up that investigation. So listen, here's the reason why I would lean more towards not guilty. Number one, like I said, I don't think the state has proven beyond beyond reasonable doubt at all. A couple things stuck out to me. Now listen, the defense attorney, or the defense side, they had some amazing witnesses. Their witnesses, unlike Trooper Paul, if you watched it, then the defense attorneys, the defense side, their witnesses were stellar, and I mean stellar, and they were credible, they were accredited. And two of the defense witnesses, the last two, Crash Daddy, if you know, Crash Daddy, and Dr. Rentschler. Those were two representatives, two witnesses that weren't even hired by the defense side. They were available to defense. They were available to prosecution. They were hired by the DOJ, by the Department of Justice, by the FBI. okay? They are very, very credible and very respected. Both of them had said, Crash Daddy, I can't even remember his name now, Crash Daddy, he had said that basically the damage that was found on Karen Read's car, the bumper, it did not match what the prosecution said had happened. Prosecution is saying that she backed up at 24 miles an hour, hit him, but Crash Daddy, I have to say Crash Daddy, I don't remember his name, Crash Daddy had said that it doesn't match up. They don't sync. They're not in sync. So bye. That's it. I had to say it. Dr. Rentschler comes in. He was the medical expert. And he had said, once again, that the injuries that were on the victim does not match up with what would be there if he was hit by a car. And Dr. Rentschler was like, you cannot, you can't argue with science because it's science. So there was that. They also had Dr. Marie Russell. This woman, Dr. Marie Russell, she was a badass. This woman had gone to MIT for 2 years. Her mother, I believe, had gotten cancer. She went back home, take care of her mother. Her mother had passed away. She then thought, I feel like I want to be a cop. So she went and she trained to be a cop in Massachusetts. She was a cop in Massachusetts. She then went back to medical school. She became a doctor and she worked in Los Angeles. She was like head of the medical part for the prison system. She has like more of enough qualifications for her to be, an expert in this. She has seen thousands of dog bites. She basically had said that the damage on the arm is something that is consistent with a dog bite. And where's the dog coming from? We're going to get to that later. Another thing that got me in this whole thing was, so there's Michael Proctor, there's Yuri Buchanan. They go out to, after this happens, they go out to Dayton, Massachusetts, which is where Karen Read's parents live. Karen Read is there. And beforehand, they just know, I don't know how I myself think they decided beforehand what was going to happen. So they go there to talk to her and to retrieve her car and her phone. An officer from Dayton Police Force had come over to help out with this. And he had said, whenever he saw the back of her car, he noticed a crack in the taillight. Karen Read had said that when she was backing up, she hit his car. She hit John O'Keefe's car. So this officer from Dayton said he saw a crack. He saw a crack. And I believe Jennifer McCabe and or Carrie Roberts had said there was a crack. So how do you go from a crack? There's a crack. They load it on, say crack another time, crack. So they load it on the tow truck. They take it back to Canton Police Department, which, by the way, Canton Police Department recused themselves just because it's a shit show. So that's not the official reason. So they take it back to the Sollyport there in Canton Police Department. And then next thing you know, there's like footage missing from the video because it's videoed whenever they bring it in. And there's some time missing. So what were they doing to this? And then oddly enough, a few days go by, they go back to the scene, and and then there's taillight. Where did this taillight just come from? Where was all this taillight before? And before, when there was a crack, it was just a crack. Now, like, the taillight casing is out. How? I don't understand that. I made extensive notes on this. Okay. The other person that was big for me was the plow driver, Lucky Loughran. Lucky Loughran, he was there. He plowed that street. They were saying a blizzard. I had heard online from people that were like, it wasn't a blizzard. It was like 2 to 3 inches. And I would think that if you live in Massachusetts, 2 to 3 inches is like a dry street, is like nothing. That's what I would imagine. So he plowed Fairview Road. He didn't see a body. He did a few passes. He didn't see a body at all. Another thing that I had thought of, well, wait, I can't take credit because I was listening to something today and somebody had brought this up. And this makes sense. If he was there, if this is true, if she hit him with her car and it was after 12 and then he laid there, he did not have on a winter coat. He didn't have gloves. He didn't have, I believe he had a baseball cap on. He didn't have a scarf. He didn't have any of this. And he laid there until he was found at 6:30, like after 6 a.m. Where was the frostbite? A nurse had said that it takes 30 minutes for frostbite to set in. There was no frostbite. None at all. Where was the frostbite? That doesn't make any sense. And from what I understand, I had heard on now this could be alleged. I don't know, but it's not alleged that in Canton they have like a select board, and the select board has power. And who's on there? What's an Albert? It is Chris Albert who's on it. From what I understand, the town of Canton is really run by two families. That's the Alberts and the McCabe's. And so much so that they're just called, in that town, they're called the McAlberts. And Lucky Loughran was told, listen, don't testify in this. But he instead testified. So good on you that he's not going to be silenced. I mean, I always say, speak your truth. Speak your truth. If you know the truth, if you didn't see a body, then you didn't see a body. I'm just saying. And if he would have seen one, then say you saw one. There's just a lot of coincidences in this. There were there were puncture marks and wounds on John O'Keefe's arm that were, the experts had said they look like something that could come from a dog. The dog is rehomed. Chloe, their German Shepherd of 7 years, their beloved dog, she's just rehomed. Like not that long after this happened, she's gone. She's just gone. Their phones, gone. Like people that were, I believe it was Brian Higgins and Brian Albert, who owns 34 Fairview. They're gone. Like they just trade the phones in. And then the very next day, there's an order for both of them not to do anything to their phones, but they're gone. They just rehomed their phones. They sold their house not that long after. Before they sold their house, they had gotten their basement floor redone. They just had it done 4 years before, but they got it done again. people are saying that defense is saying that possibly John O'Keefe went in the house, there was a fight, and that Chloe, being a protective animal, came up and, bit into his arm or, attached onto his arm, and it all went wrong. Here's another thing. Colin Albert, they did not bring Colin Albert's name into this until they absolutely had to. He shows up a couple days after this whole thing goes down, and he has bruised knuckles. And Alan Jackson, on his cross-examination of Colin Albert, he was like, what happened with this? He claims that he was walking and it was icy and he slipped and he fell like this. When you fall, do your hands go like this? I don't go like this. Honestly, if I'm falling, I'm first of all yelling, fuck, 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 fuck. And then I'm falling on my fat ass, or I'm falling straight on my face. I'm not going like this. Or my hands might go down. If my hands would do anything, they would go down like this. I wouldn't make a fist and go like that. Doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. To be honest with you, I know people were saying everybody would have to be in on it for the cover up, for like a frame job. The more I hear about this town, Canton, I don't know that it would be that big of a stretch. I mean, this town, like I said, it's run by from what I understand, it's run by two families. And I can kind of see the parallels a little bit in the Murdaughs and the McAlberts, because the Murdaughs thought for the longest time, Murdaugh thought for the longest time, my family has been justice in this county, in this city for like 60, 70, 80 years. Who's going to stop me? I'm just saying, I don't think that the state has presented enough evidence at all to present this. I think what had happened was District Attorney Morrissey doubled down when people were coming at the Alberts and McCabe's and saying that that they did this and this and that. He doubled down and was like, they did not do this. So I think he forced his hand and was like, hey, I think they had to. I think they had to. And if you've been watching, they came back. They've been deliberating for 4 days. The jury came back and said, we've done everything we can. We cannot come to a unanimous decision. So that's it. So I was like, oh, it's a hung jury. So Judge Bev Cannoni, who, do I think she's impartial? No, I don't think she's impartial at all. I think she has a horse in this race. She was like, nope, get back there and discuss. I think it's going to be a hung jury. I think it's going to be a hung jury. Do I think something should be handed down? I think it should. I think if anything, I think something needs to be done about these people drinking and driving. How is it that, and then Officer Higgins, he's drunk. He's plastered on whiskey. After all of this happened, after he's at Fairview, then he just goes in back to the Canton Police Department, drunk, and when he's asked why, he says he had to move 2 vehicles. You mean there's nobody there that can move these vehicles? You have to go in drunk to do this? Something's fishy. Something is fishy. At the end of the day, the people who I feel the worst for is his mother. I feel the worst for his mother and those children because, and I will also say this. I know there's a guy that's involved in this, a journalist called Turtle Boy that broke this wide open. Listen, while I do not think Jennifer McCabe or the Alberts are telling the truth, I do not approve of anybody being harassed or doxxed or threatened or any of that. I don't think that's right at all from her supporters or from the Alberts and the McCabes, because from what I understand, the Alberts and everybody else on their side is out there harassing people. So I don't know. It's a mess. I think it's going to be a hung jury. And I think if it's a hung jury, I think what's happening is I think there's 1 to 2 people who are just the holdouts, and no matter what it is, they're just not gonna give in. If it is a hung jury and it's declared a mistrial, I had said in the past, I don't understand how the state can go back and put this trial on again, because they just don't have a lot of credible evidence in my mind. But a lot of people were saying that they definitely will because of their ego of like, they are in the fight so much now, they got to do this. So tell me in the comments. I know this is a long video. I have a lot to say about this because I've spent like every day watching this with Emily D. Baker, and I've gone on and I've listened to things just about this. So I don't know. Something stinks up. Something stinks up there in Canton, Massachusetts. I'm just saying that right now. Because there's another thing that I'm going to look into, and that's Sandra Birchmore. So that stinks. So in the comments, let me know what you think. I would like to have a little discussion in the comments about this. I'm open to hear what every side thinks about this. So let me know in the comments. And if nobody told you yet today, it's a long video. If nobody told you yet today, I love you. You're loved, seen, and heard. Please make sure that you put love, kindness, compassion, acceptance, hope, and positivity out there in the world. And so it comes right back at you. Please take care of yourself. And I say take care of yourself. 2 things. Number 1, please be aware of your surroundings. Number 2, please stay safe. I love you guys. I will see you tomorrow.